Wait just a minute or so as people continue to join, and then we'll start momentarily. So we'll just wait a minute or so, another minute, 30 seconds, and then we'll get started. Okay, we're going to get started, and I appreciate everybody being here on a rainy Friday. It was just a little bit yucky outside until I was pulling into the driveway in the back parking lot, and then it started pouring enough that I needed to get my umbrella out. By the time I got to the front door, it had stopped. So I think that's what kind of day it's going to be today. But we've had some beautiful weather and some needed rain here in Delaware. I saw some corn that was starting to curl a little bit. So I guess we'll be grateful for the rain that we get, because there's times when we need that, and we'll take it and see if it clears up for the weekend ahead. So thanks for joining me on First Friday. I know this is a week when many people have been off for the holiday, and but glad that you're here with us this morning. And I want to cover a couple organizational things and updates, mostly good news stories, and always happy to share good news. And then I'm going to turn it over to Christy, and she's going to do some sharing, because we need your feedback and need some advice that we have on this project of the innovation team about getting a registration system set up and running, and more about that in a little bit. But we really need to run some things by you and get your feedback, and encourage both the support staff, the administrative assistants, and all our agents to be engaged in this and provide some input, because it's an opportunity for something that will work for all of us. So first, a couple organizational updates. Happy to say we have a state budget. I'm sure Ernie and the rest of our legislators are happy to say that we have a state budget after being called back in on Sunday to get things finalized in an unprecedented move to get the budget set by the date. As far as the impact on extension, this looks like a 2% cut for us to experience, and I'll be in conversation with the dean. He is off this week, but be in conversation with the dean next week. We had spoken about this in terms of how we'll handle that cut across the college and what impact that extension will feel of that. But if we need to manage that, it'll be in our operating budgets, and you might see small changes in our operating budget with that as potential expectation, but not a big deal. We certainly appreciate the support of our legislators in supporting extension and helping us to continue our work. There are some programs that are not continuing, and one that we use is that Kids Count, and that funding has been cut for that. And so that program, I talked to that director, Steve Paquet, yesterday, and so that is one of the programs that will be feeling the ramifications from the budget in terms of that program with that. So the good news for us is that we will continue to be able to move forward without any major bumps in the road. You might see some minor changes in operating. The plan is that you should move forward with your operating just as you would normally, and I'll have letters about your operating budgets out by next week, I hope, as soon as I have a conversation further with the dean, and we can inform you where we are with that process. And I'm very pleased about that. We've kind of sweated out, at least I have, the last several months in the back and forth and the major ways that we were responding as a university, and the whole budget process has been pretty cumbersome this year, not just for me, but for many, many people. And I'm not sure that how far this solves things for the next year, but we will be set for getting this year's budget set up and moving that forward. And that's always great news to be able to do that in a timely way, and I appreciate that. So operating budget's out by next week, and the counts will remain the same with those, and we'll move forward. On the just when we get one budget solved, we're into the next budget. That's how it works here. And it is a good thing that our budget years aren't all at the same time. So we're high time moving into the federal, for the federal budget piece. I have sent a letter out to all the county extension directors. We really had a request that we do contact our federal legislators at this point, particularly by our stakeholders. And I have provided to each of the county extension directors a link to a sample letter, and folks are asked to put in their own, our stakeholders are asked to put in their own comments about the value extension to them, and then they can forward that, and that just clicks and it automatically goes to all our federal legislators. So we are asking our stakeholders to be involved in communicating with our federal legislators the value and the need for our capacity funds. And this is just something that we can't take for granted, and they're sincerely asking that there be some communication with our federal partners about the need for this. So you should be hearing, have heard from your county director. They really need those letters in by next week, and if you haven't, please contact them for that information, and communicate with, if everybody communicates with a stakeholder or two, we would have Delaware well represented. Yes, we do have support from our federal legislators, and I'm appreciative of that, but we also just can't assume that it's status quo and not respond to this request. So please contact a key stakeholder for your program area and ask them to do this electronically and send in just a note of support for the federal funding that we get. So your county director for details if you haven't received those, and I appreciate that. Other good news stories as we proceed organizationally. I'm very, very excited that we have 11 innovation teams. Just to put this in perspective, these innovation teams are going to be working on, have innovative ideas. I've read through the list. I'm excited about every one of them. Lots of great ideas. And we will be having these innovation teams working on your ideas, the concept, so to speak. That's what we're working on up to our annual conference, where each innovation team will have an opportunity to make a very short pitch, about 3 minutes, to the entire audience, and we'll be voting and selecting, and more details on the winners. But the funding, there will be funding to do the innovation, at least to the top team, and perhaps even more if we can work that out with folks. So I'm looking for some funds now that we have the budget, that we may be able to fund several of these innovation projects, because they all look really great. I know that Jen and Michelle Wofford and Jen Volk have been working on getting coaches aligned for each of the teams, and I know they're in process with that, and that each of the teams will be getting a coach to help you think innovatively and to challenge you to think about what you can do differently and spur on this idea. And you'll be hearing about your coaches, and so many of you are involved with that. So we're really excited. I think Michelle shared with me that a state like Oregon State, which is a pretty large state, had maybe half as many teams in innovation proposals as we do from Delaware, which is much less people and a lot of ideas. So I'm just thrilled, truly, with the innovation that you're showing and with the ideas that are on the docket here. So you'll be hearing shortly about your coaches and beginning the work for your innovation efforts and getting ready for your pitches at annual conference. And we'll be doing a lot of look at innovation at our annual conference this year, and that should be pretty fun and uplifting day and exciting for us. So we're moving ahead with that. Other good news stories I've shared with you in terms of staffing. I've shared with you recently in Directors Weekly that Jared Miller has accepted our agronomy faculty position. Will be joining us September 1st, and we're delighted to have him coming on board, and he'll be based at Carville Research and Education Center, and delighted to have him joining us. Comes from our neighbor state of Maryland, and brings a lot of expertise and has worked with a number of you already, and that's just a great addition. We are bringing back another candidate, continuing the process for our entomology position. Pleased to say that we are bringing back this week David Owens. He'll be coming back for a second interview, but this time we're doing this really as a first interview for having this be an extension specialist position versus a faculty position. And David will be at Carville next week on Wednesday and meeting with stakeholders and a few folks. And then we'll be coming to Newark and meeting with members of the search committee and the dean and I, and a few other, Jake Bowman here, and a few of the faculty here as well. So we're continuing that process, and hopefully in the next couple weeks, we'll be able to be successful in that process. We'll have the right candidate and the right offer, and make things happen with that. And the third position that we have in process right now is our health specialist position. And we have the search committee next week doing some Skype interviews with the candidates and bringing that down to the number of candidates that we want to interview face-to-face. So very pleased to have that committee functioning and things happening with that position as well. And should have these positions filled and on board by the fall at best. So great news to all in all, with all these things, just great news to report. So then I wanted to also mention that we have had support from DDA to continue the Lead Delaware program, and we are going to begin recruiting for the next class of Lead Delaware while we wrap up this year's class. And we will be asking you to help us with that recruitment. We're wrapping up the application materials and updating them right now, meeting with the committee next week about the curriculum and the dates, and then we will be moving forward with that recruitment. So I'll be in touch with you through Directors Weekly and ask for your help in guiding people to the application, which will be on the web. And you can begin thinking about people that you might want to recommend for that program, which is an important part of our leadership development program in agriculture. So I'm pleased that DDA is going to fill the position held by Holly Porter formerly, and they're going to provide individual leadership and support to continue the direction of that program. So pleased about that, and that's also good news. And finally, it's almost fair time, and everybody's in fair mode from the 4-H office and all the piles and files at the 4-H office, and extra hours getting ready for fair on down to everyone else who's on fair details, including our own team that's putting together our exhibit. For this year, we have this nice new exhibit space. The secretary, even commented how lovely the space is and how we've updated that. And we are asking a few people to sign up for a few spots that we have left, that we really do need some folks there. And I put those dates in Directors Weekly last week, and we could still use a few folks signing up for dates. So if you haven't, we should just take a slot or two and help out by representing Cooperative Extension at the exhibit. Del State's done a nice job of signing up and filling in some of that, and just asked several of you if you'd just take a spot yet and represent us. I know special needs will have a lot of video playing. The teams have gotten together video, and it's really just a matter of being there, representing us. We'll have gift baskets. You're encouraged to get things together for the gift baskets as per usual. Helps draw people into the stand, and just a great way to connect with folks as they walk through the fair and enjoy the air conditioning of our building. So hope that you're going to take part in that. So with that, I think that's the organizational updates. If there's other questions or topics that you have interest in that I haven't addressed, please put them in the chat box, and I'll try to respond to them before we wrap up today. But at this point, I want to turn it over to Christy. Christy is a member of our innovation team, and she, along with the team, have been working on a project for the last several months, actually a long time, been working at trying to see a way we could have a one-stop shop, which one close to it, around how we handle registration. And that we guide people to our web presence, and we can reach people through our web presence and social media marketing. And so Christy has been working on what that platform might look like, and we have some questions that she brought to the leadership team, and we just really felt that we needed the input from our staff to really help us make decisions about how this is going. And this is for our administrative assistants as well as the professional staff, and all of you that are on. I just encourage you to interact with Christy as we go through. She's going to show some things, and then we have some questions that we'd like your feedback on that will guide how we develop this. So thanks, Christy, for all your innovation and for your leadership on this. I see you've got your camera adjusted, so that's great, and talk us through this. So thanks, Christy.
Dr. Year's office, which are events that require payment. So I had a very long meeting, and there are some pros and cons to using CAT. Had asked similar to what the Professional and Continuing Studies office has. And that's because they have different certificates. There could be other editors, but you would need to go through training, as would I. And as a store owner, you can have however, every form has to be created differently for events that need different fields. We came up with questions in a meeting where you handle something like that. So there are pros to having a storefront on CashNet. However, we ran into some cons to it. One being that you cannot already tiered away. You know, this is no longer a one-stop shop now if the storefront can't handle those types of events. So in creating a registration page, which I am going to attempt to share with you. So this is not linked to from anywhere yet. This is just a fill in the blank, you know, trying to figure out how we would organize something for registration. The perk for this would be on any brochures or flyers that you would make from here on out, or any social media posts or emails you would send from here on out once it launches, you would have a very small web address. So it would be extension.udel.edu/register, much smaller than the very long URLs that we can sometimes get in WordPress as we nest things under their different program areas. So this is definitely very important. I do think we definitely need to have this page, but what do we do with it? So if we choose not to use CashNet as a storefront for paid events, which can still happen, there's just a lot of kinks to it. CashNet doesn't allow for expiration of events either, so that would be a manual thing. Someone would have to go in and add it and then remove it when the event is over, things like that. That would exist for any page that has event content though, right? Because if you, for example, the event that I have featured on this registration page right now was from June 27th. So again, this is just a testing page. Well, is someone talking to me? I don't know. I heard voices. I also don't know how to see the chat while I'm sharing the screen, so I'm just going to continue. So right now, the idea is it would be great if we could feature events on a registration page. It doesn't have to be one. It could be more than one. It could be a rotating thing like we have on the program pages. But for events that are not getting the registration that you're hoping for, this is an opportunity to draw people to a page that can then highlight that event. Similarly, I have the county offices, addresses, and contact informations, but I also have events by program area down further on the page. Again, just placeholder. This doesn't have to look like this. But as I was putting links in, I was coming to the conclusion that registration in other areas also needs to be looked at. For example, when someone clicks on a 4-H youth event in Kent County, they're going to a page that has forms for all of the events that might exist, but I'm going to wait for that page to load to show you. But is it the same as it is in Newcastle County? Is it the same as it is in Sussex County? I don't know that they necessarily are the same, and I don't know how they're organized. Are they organized by month? Are they organized, in a way that makes sense, not to us internally, but to a parent and to a user on the outside of the page? So that is really important to think about. So here, for example, is the Kent County page. It has everything that you would need for forms, guidelines, everything you need for all of the events. It appears that they're in alphabetical order, which is fantastic. But if a parent comes to this page and they're looking to help their child sign up for a contest or sign up for something at the fair, does this page help them with that? Does this page help them to know, okay, this is what I can do in 4-H in August? To me, it doesn't, but that's just because I don't know much about 4-H, and people who go to 4-H might know that. My son just joined 4-H, so I'm learning about it. But just moving forward, if we do create a one-stop shop for registration, we have to think about how many clicks it's going to take from this page for people to get what they're looking for. And that's what I need your help for, because you are the experts in your program areas. You know what events you're hosting, and you know what events you'd like to draw more attention to. So my question to you in this first Friday, and please either tell me now or email me or call me later, whatever you need, but what should we do with this page? What should it look like? And how can it be most useful for the users, the stakeholders, the parents, the media, when they want to see what a cooperative extension is doing and what they're hosting? So that's that part of it. That's the registration part. I do also want to show you the university calendar, but I'd really like to get your feedback on this first. So I don't know if you can unmute your mics or if you're chatting or what. Oh, I see. For free events, can we use Eventbrite? Michelle, I'm honestly not sure about that. Personally, for Braised Brown Bags, I do everything through Eventbrite. I find it very useful. It's very easy to market events from Eventbrite. However, that would probably be something we would need to talk to the University of Delaware Office of Communications and Marketing about, because they're every day coming down with more guidelines on how they would like us to present ourselves. And so I'm not comfortable making the decision about that. I don't know if there are rules on what we're allowed to use or not. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has anybody else used Eventbrite? Maybe, no?
So, hi, this is Maria.
Hi.
I haven't used Eventbrite within our system, but for many of the health insurance initiatives that I've been working with University of Maryland on, they have been using Eventbrite. My sense is similar to your experience in that it's fairly easy to set up. It's a URL is created that can be shared. It helps with registration. You can pull data off of it fairly easily.
Mhm.
And that you can do free things, you can do not free things. So there seems to be a way for, at least on the University of Maryland side, for them to be able to capture the dollars that come in fairly easily. So I just share that since you asked for feedback.
Thank you. I do need that feedback. So I think it would be worth asking someone, I'm not even sure who it would be right now up at the Office of Communications, but in talking about this, if I could set up a meeting, maybe one of you could join me with somebody to just explain sort of where we're going and the issue that we ran into with wanting to use CashNet to keep things consistently branded, and then realizing that free events could not be in CashNet. So then, if let's say that, yeah.
There's also some notes in the chat box, which I don't know whether you can get to by going to the bottom of your screen and then seeing the chat box, but or not. But Tracy has commented that she talked again about University of Maryland, who her neighbor is using it. We could probably talk to some folks there, and her and Valian both commented that the DNLA uses that all the time for their events and for 4-H events. There's a lot of forms and PDFs, and Michelle's talking about that. And we might need to have some of the 4-H folks on board talk about standardizing those so we can use it. Nancy Mears commented that Nemours uses Eventbrite. So folks are using that. And I don't know how that how we do that in light of then when we need to use CashNet for anything that we're charging for. So.
I mean, in the perfect world, it would be great to be able to just use CashNet or just use Eventbrite. Personally, I think Eventbrite is far easier to use and looks better. I mean, it makes more sense to a user, whereas CashNet is very clunky and very rigid in how you have to build things. And going through the cashier's office, since well, as a shop owner, they might give me access to create the events and create the forms. But right now we have to go through the cashier's office to create any forms that require payment. So I personally think Eventbrite is great. And you said, Michelle mentioned the Google Forms and PDFs. I agree, if there's a way to standardize how we're doing it, the better. Because currently, if you're going to a page and they're offering Eventbrite and CashNet and a Google Form and a PDF that you download, and you're opening 5 different tabs, you know, it could be kind of confusing. And then the addresses, again, Google Form address. Google Forms are great, but the URLs are ugly, you know. So you're running into, how do we get someone to a location so that they can see all that extension is doing, and then they can register for something without feeling overwhelmed by the website. I see something blinking, so let me see if I can find the chat. Okay, so if I hover over, oh, there's a more. Sorry, I haven't used Zoom enough yet. Okay, I have the chat open now. So Michelle, I'm not sure about what Tracy does, but I do know that Carrie did create a form with the cashier's office so they can start to collect money for Master Gardener workshops through CashNet. And she's the one who is speaking about user fields. And so that must be how they appropriate things to where it needs to go for the Master Gardener account. But I don't want to speak solely to that, because that was Carrie's thing at our meeting. And Maria, align with UD standards?
So if we used Eventbrite, right, you can create the landing page to align with UD standards so that it has the look that is approved, I'll just say. But, you know, the rest of my chat says, you know, there does need to be someone who's sort of managing the inputting, the setting up, and then the pulling off of data. And it's, you know, my understanding is it's usually, you know, you have an account and someone needs to log on and set up that information. And so it would probably mean having multiple accounts, maybe one for each county office and one for you, or, you know,
Right.
however
Can they all be connected? Can you have multiple users to one account rather than end up having several accounts?
I think the way the University of Maryland folks do it is they share the username and password. Yeah. I can also speak to what Carrie was talking about. The Family and Consumer Science folks use the CashNet system to do their ServSafe registrations. And that, the process is really working with UDIT to set up a form that is used for registration. And you set up the form however you need to, with whatever data you need to collect from people, like in our case, which of the ServSafe classes you're going to attend and how many people are you sending and what are their names and all that stuff. So you can kind of set that web form up the way you need to. That system allows things to roll off, meaning once the date has passed or once a registration date has passed, that information will roll off the screen, so people don't have that as an option to select.
And not letting that be a barrier to us, but certainly something we have to work out.
I think it's really a balance of, people's time, I mean, in terms of how much we need to track funds, JVing, all of those kinds of things that we also need to put into that thinking.
So lots to think about. But in thinking about taking on free events, take myself out in use events calendar. And I know that you use Google Calendar to schedule internal office meetings too, but I think that the UD events calendar will be far more searchable for people, and that we should really be consistent, and that in my opinion, my professional opinion is that all events should go into the UD calendar. So I would like to show you that. And I know that Cheryl Bush recently did that. So the featured event on this registration page right now has a little graphic that's too small to read. Again, just placeholder. But if you were to click on it, it goes to the UD events calendar, and she submitted this event. It doesn't have a picture here. It just gives you the standard UD icon, but you have an option to upload a picture. So this now has, unfortunately, a very long URL, but if it were linked to a button or a picture or text on the registration page, the URL wouldn't matter. So I want to show you when you go. Cheryl's saying the event calendars was easy to fill out and you receive notice that your event has been accepted. That is true, and I have been given access to the dashboard so I can accept events too. So if you let me know that you have input events into the events calendar, if they're tagged for our college or for cooperative extension as a department, there's an option to choose cooperative extension, I will see them and I can approve them. But then you also have the ability to go back in and edit it. I'm just I can't see all my tabs because of this screen. Hold on. Okay. So when you click on submit an event on the events calendar, which is here, this blue area, it takes you to this page where it has a lot of options, and you only have to, the required fields have the little asterisk, how do you say that word? Asterisk. So those are the required fields, but there's tons of options here. So you put in the start date, the start time, all of that, just as you would in Google Calendar. But you have a description box where you can link to your programs, you can link to PDFs, you can explain things more easily than you would in a Google event. You put in the place and then it links it to a map. You see here, you can put in a Facebook event page. So Michelle, I know that you've created Facebook events for a lot of the different workshops. So you could put the link to your Facebook event on here too. It has information for contact, all of these fields, department. lots of departments, but cooperative extension is in here. We did get them to add you guys last year, I think that was. But that allows me to then pull a feed of all of the cooperative extension events, as we similarly do with the Google Calendar. That's the reason we use the Google Calendar. We wanted to be able to pull a feed of all of the events. So now we can pull a feed of all of the events from this calendar too. That had been why we weren't using it. So down here, ticket cost, ticket link, that could be a place if we do end up using Eventbrite to put the link there, or for a ServSafe form or whatever form that you have that's through CashNet, you could put the link there. So I think that that's important, and it's all in one page, and then you have something to link to, and it's searchable because now it exists in the university's website and not on a Google Calendar off in, you know, Never Never Land.
So Christy, if people want to, first of all, can you share the story about when Cheryl's event and when you, and the story that you shared with the leadership team about the success of doing that? And second, then can we talk about
your confidence in me when it got added to the event calendar, and then Cheryl emailed me and let me know that it existed. I quickly created this little graphic using Canva, which is a fantastic video. We were then able to promote with that image and the link to the event calendar on social media. So you had the visual to get people to see it on Twitter or on Facebook, and then they had something to click through to figure out how to register. And I feel from what Cheryl told me that there were more registrants, maybe because of that, maybe because there was that extra push. So she could mention how many more there were, but it seems to be successful to do that, which means if you're not comfortable creating the graphic, ask me or ask Michelle Walford, although, you know, I don't want to speak for Michelle, but I think she'd be happy to do it. And then just let us know. We really want to get more people to come to this event. We tried to have it last month. Nobody came. And we'll push it. We'll push it out there for you. So right now, when we get emails to Canner social@gmail.com, it's usually post-event. It's usually pictures of the event happening. So I think if we could create images beforehand and push people to register beforehand and then be able to follow up with post events, that would be great. I think you might be able to get more people to attend your events. So that's that. And Dr. Rogers, what was the other thing you asked me to say?
So I'm sorry, and I should have just asked one at a time. So then, since we have the capability to use this, and I think it's through you that we can put things on the UD calendar. I think I'm right about that. So can you talk about right now, we can do this and we can use this, and could you talk to us, everyone on line today, about how we would do this? We can at least start doing this while we're still working on the registration process. So could you talk a little bit about how we could be doing this right now, and our administrative assistants can be helping us with this, because we do think then we can be doing social media and driving people through the web to our things, and we ought to be using it for marketing. We're not marketing experts, but here's a way we could be marketing our programs,
right,
on the traditional. So would you share with us the steps and what is our process right now to have events be listed on the UD calendar, and how we do that?
Sure. So the link is events.udel.edu. And when you go to that page, there's a blue submit an event button in the right-hand corner, and any person with a UD ID can log in. So anybody can submit an event, and then it just has to be approved. The event has to be approved. But I have the ability to approve events now. They did give me access to that. So there is that second step. But Cheryl, when you submitted it, it was approved relatively quickly. I mean, I think it can be done within the hour. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But then once you click on submit an event, it takes you to a page that looks like this. So see, I'm moving my cursor around. I have logged in already because I didn't want you guys to have to go through my two-factor authentication business. So it gives you a dashboard, which then once your events are approved, it emails you. You can see things in your dashboard. You can edit the event. So I pulled up my dashboard, and this is an event that I must have added years ago for a statistics seminar, but I ended up just putting a picture of Townsend Hall for it, which is just, you know, when you're sharing a link, sometimes it pulls up a thumbnail from that page, and I wanted it to be relevant to the event rather than the Circle UD avatar. So actually anybody with a UD login can add an event to this by clicking submit an event now. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks, Christine. So we can, anyone who's, if we're doing a brochure to market an event, it would be appropriate at the same time to go into these events.udel.edu and also put it on the UD calendar as another way to reach another audience and for them to publish what we're doing, and then direct in the directions how people can be informed about where to go to register at this point. And again, that's why if we can get something set up with this, that perhaps we can make that very simple that it goes to one place as well for registration and get that involved. So I guess I would suggest that we start beginning to use this as a way to help market our program. It's free for one thing, and you know, people are using less and less surface mail as ways to find out about things and to know about things. And if we start doing this, I think it'll catch on, and it may help us to expand our audience to those who want to you know, we're trying to expand our audience to other folks. So I think we can begin to try and do that. And even some of the Sussex things and ag beyond, if people know that they can come here and find it, we can start to advertise that and say, you know, people can look for that. And we have our usual ways, like weekly crop updates where we advertise events, but we can still get them on here as well. It also helps the university to know the outreach and engagement events that are going on that are part of UD and connect it to this marketing. So I just want to suggest that we give this a shot. I know it's something additional, but it looks like it's a pretty simple additional. It's also a free additional, and as appropriate that we start trying this out and see what happens as we do that. So let's introduce that today while we're still working on our registration process. And Christy, perhaps we can visit with the folks in finance and see if there's a way, if they'd be willing to tie CashNet to Eventbrite. I don't understand all the systems, but I'm certainly happy to join you with others at the university to see if there's ways we can make this workable. Clearly, we could do some homework and find out how Maryland is doing this and others that we could take with us. So
when I did ask, I asked, I don't remember who I met with. Really nice people at the events office. Sarah, I think was her name, Sarah and Maria. But when I asked about free events and how we could possibly link them to a storefront with CashNet, they said that there wouldn't be a way to do it, that we would have to link them from our registration page. And so that's where I saw the fork happening, you know, then, because
okay.
So I had asked that question.
Okay.
Which was
all right. So we'll continue on down the road we're on and see what we can figure out for the best thing for that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but I still think if we organize this register page, if we really think through and think forward thinking about it, we could organize it and design it in such a way that this will work. And if it means that county office addresses and contact information move to the bottom of the page, and we have 4 thumbnails across the top that, you know, link to specific events, it's just a matter of who is going to remember that these events are on this page, who's going to either let me know or log in, you know, I can give you access to this page. A lot of people are editors on WordPress already, and, you know, I'd be confident. I know someone like Serena, it would be easy for her to do that. She sends out gorgeous emails already about the things that are happening, and she could take 2 or 3 of those events that she knows need an extra push and put them on this page. You know what I mean? So there's different ways that we can make this happen. And any event that already has a form through the cashier's office could be linked to here. and we could put a little icon of a cart and, link it to there. There's ways we can make this work. I just need your help to know the best way to do it, because you know what time of year you have more programs, like which programs are going to be consistent annual programs. And I think we need to work together to organize it.
So Christy, would it be helpful if we had just a small subcommittee of a mix of some of our administrative assistants and from each program, somebody from each program area to help you work on this and to work through this and continue to plow through the process to figure this out?
I think so, because they're the ones getting phone calls and emails. So they know what people are asking, and I don't know what people are saying. They might be asking the same question about, well, I went to your website, but I don't know where to find this. And if we know that question, we can figure out that answer, but I don't know what they're saying. So I think it would be really helpful if I could work with people who are working with the public, who know what they need and know what they're looking for.
Okay, so if you would be willing to do that in whatever capacity you serve, and we just really probably need 4 or 5 people max.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd be willing to work with Christy, she's already done the legwork for this, and it really would be conversations as we do some drafts of things, and then identifying what are the issues on our own pages in terms of the registration to help make this work. I think in the next couple of months we could have this up and operational. So if you're willing to volunteer, would you just type that in or send a note to me and Christy so we'd know who we've got? And really, I don't think this would be something you need to come to a meeting about necessarily. It's something we could do by Zoom and technology, I think, Christy, to get this work done. So if you'd be willing to do that, that would be great. So, but let's go ahead and start using the Google Calendar, I think, for the, not the.
I think other people at the University of Delaware, happily, that's going to be different. I know when Cheryl used it, she used community event. So that's going to be different for every event, I think, for you, because let's see, if you have, like, if it's a conference, if it's just community, if it's a workshop, if it's a lecture or a program, it has those options in there. And so I would say there isn't a consistent thing to do for that. The thing you definitely have to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
I guess, so I need to have a conversation then with Servina and Trevani and show them how to do this. I guess that's partly why I'm asking for a cheat sheet, because there's people who are not on this webinar who could use a little guidance. I
could put together information on what we just said here, with the link to it and things like that.
I don't think it has to be long. I just think.
Okay.
How about a paragraph? We put it in DW. That would be probably a way we can do this, Christy, and get it out to everyone.
Also, with today's session, so it's going to be on our staff resources page as a resource to go back to and see everything that Chrissy presented to us today.
With all the flailing.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot of territory here in terms of some opportunity. I haven't seen a lot of sign up here. I'd really love to have 4 or 5 people who would be willing to help with this registration process, particularly our administrative assistants who are doing a lot of the handling of that, because you know the most about this more than any of the rest of us in regard to that. So again, after the call, if you'd be willing, or if you're willing now to just type it in there, we'd love to have just a couple folks come forward to help us to move this forward. It won't take a whole lot, but we do need to help get this, and thanks, Melissa, for your willingness to do that, because you do a lot of registration for 4-H stuff. If there's others, if you just join in here, and we'll work with Christy to help figure this out and move it forward. And it'll be like our other technology changes where we do so much and then we figure out how to do it better and we add other features and we solve other things. But we really do think that the leadership team, when we talked about this, really do feel that we can boost our marketing at really no cost here by pulling together our registration, making it a public place that people can go to see and do, but it's going to take a little bit of effort from those of us who are doing that. So So that would be helpful. So see a couple nominations coming in there, Christy, and we'll work through that. Are there other questions that you have about what we're trying to accomplish? Other questions you have about going to the UD calendar? Let's just commit to those who are on. We'll get started. Christy, you're going to write a brief paragraph up. I won't hold you to it for today. We can get that in next week. DW, Directors Weekly. But we'll get some instructions there that will go out to everyone so that we can be doing that. And I appreciate those of you who will give that a shot and try that. And Christy, I want to say thanks for your continuing innovation and leadership to help us move forward into the 21st century. I know, as has been mentioned, other states are doing this, and we need to be doing this and not falling behind in terms of how people are communicating today, and people are going to their computers for just about everything. So we need to be there as well, or we'll be left behind in terms of people's choice. So thank you, everyone. Christy, anything else you want to add at this point?
No, just thank you to the feedback we've already gotten and the people who've already volunteered, and letting us know the other universities who are using Eventbrite or something else. I've been going to other university pages and extension pages looking to see how they're doing registration, and I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We just want to make it good for our audience and make it easy for them to use. So I think, I mean, we're already on our way.
Let's go. This will be great, and you've got the names there. And thanks everyone for your interaction today. I love it when we can just open the mic and have a conversation about that with lots of positive things. So have a great first Friday. I can't believe we're coming to the end of the first week in July. Boy, the summer is flying. So I can connect through First Friday next month as well. So thank you, Christy, and thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day.